Guys, this is your boy Straight Raw Media back with another video, and in today's video I am going to be showing you the new settings to Forza Horizon 4, and I'm also going to be showing you the settings that I use to get the photos that I get. Let's go. Now the car that I'm going to be using for this photo shoot is the 1984 Peugeot 205 Forza Edition. And I decided to change the wheels up because I didn't really like the ones that were on there. So I decided to go with something a little bit more my flavor. And I think it worked out. So let's see how it looks. Alright, there we go. So as you can see, these are the wheels that I put on here. I kept the Horizon Edition wheels because I kind of like the little stripes going around the wheel. And that's about it. Everything else is pretty much bone stock, how it comes. I'm not going to go through a lot because I've already taken a couple of photos of this car. So all I'm going to do is show y'all exactly what's new, what settings I use, and just a couple of shots on how the photos will come out. First thing is going to be the shutter speed. The shutter speed is going to be for the amount of motion that's going to be within the picture. All right. So if your car is moving and you have the shutter speed all the way up, your car is going to be flying. That's how it's going to look. It looks like it's going to be flying down the road. Everything in the background to the wheels, everything's going to be blurred out. It's going to be a lot of motion. All right. To give an example, I'm gonna just show y'all real quick, all right? Because I know y'all want to see everything. Y'all want to just, y'all want to be a part of the action. All right, so I'm gonna just go 40 miles an hour, right? 40 miles an hour, simple, all right? Boom. Simple and easy. Now, right there, see? I have it at 32, so if I go all the way up to 100, now we're flying. All right, so that's pretty much what shutter speed is. It's going to be the amount of motion shown within the image. This is actually a pretty dope image right here. I might keep it, I don't know, but let's get with this program here. All right, so now tracking mode for focus mode. There's going to be two different types of focus mode. It's going to be tracking and panning. Tracking mode is pretty much if you had another vehicle in front of this car, beside this car, behind this car, anything that deals with another car being involved to get a shot while the car you're shooting is in motion, that's going to be tracking. All right. So you're not going to have a car in the crowd over here in tracking mode. That would be absolutely stupid. All right, so if you do tracking photography on this game, try to keep it on the road. You know, try to keep it at least like in front of the car, on the side. You know, you can be in front like at an angle. Like this is tracking. All right, now for panning is pretty much going to be like this guy right here, or well, that's not a guy, that's a girl. Like if she had a camera and she was pointing the camera at the car coming around this corner, this is how it's going to look. That's panning because you're pretty much following the car while you're stationary. All right, cool. Y'all got that? All right, let's keep it moving. Focus. My last video, I said focus wasn't really that important, and it's not, unless like you was going to change your it doesn't matter. Unless you was going to change like your composition or like your focus point. So if I was focused, if I had All right, so if I was focused on this back tire, right, and I wanted to focus on the front tire but keep this composition, then that's when the focus will come into play. So I'll move the focus towards the front of the car if I can. I almost had it. Alright, you know what? Whatever. Alright, so yeah, pretty much that's what you're gonna use focus for. I can't really focus on it right now. I'm not really trying to deal with that. Okay. Other than that, you're just gonna just put this to 0 and you're just gonna, you know, press the focus button. Yeah. Alright. So exposure, that's pretty much gonna be like small increments of making the image darker or brighter. So if you wanted to make this look like nighttime or like the sun's going down, then you'll bring the exposure down so that way you can get that kind of look. Okay. And then the brighter, you know, it's just gonna look blown out. You don't want that. You want the image to be at least balanced, or you know, at least to where you want it. Aperture, that's going to be the amount of blur in the photo, so bring shutter speed down. So as you can see, the aperture is at 31. So if I was to bring that down, everything would be in focus. You see? So, but if I was to focus on this wheel and then bring the aperture back up, it's going to pull all the focus towards that spot that you just focused on. But all right, next up is going to be bokeh shape. This is going to be where, like, if there's how can I put this? Okay, so I'll say the closest thing would probably be these lights. So if I was to focus on like the fans over here or something like that, and the lights were blurred out. Actually, let me try to do that. Yeah. And it's not working. All right, let's try this. Focused on that. Now, oh yeah. See, I'll bring the aperture down a little bit. Hopefully it works. I don't know. It kind of worked. Actually, yeah, you can see it a little bit. So the shape of the bokeh is pretty much... Oh, there we go, right there. Alright, so this spot right here shows it. So the shape of the bokeh is going to pretty much determine on which setting you have it on. So diamond, they're going to look like diamonds. Pentagons, it's just going to load up real quick. It's going to look like pentagons. And then hexagons, so forth. I just keep it on circle because circle is the most natural. All right. So next up is going to be sampling. There's two different types. It's going to be fast and quality. I keep mine on quality because you want the highest quality from the images you're going to be taking. All right. That's the end of that. Contrast, it's going to affect the brightest parts and the darkest parts of the image. All right, so the higher, the more it's gonna focus on the bright and dark spots. So you can see it's bright here, it's really dark there. It's just putting more highlight and shadows into those spots. Bring it down, it's just gonna milk everything out. If you're doing video, I suggest that you actually put a little less contrast so that way you have more dynamic range for when you process the video in like Premiere Pro, something like that, or whatever. Color, I think we all know what color does. If you don't, then kill yourself. Brightness. Brightness is going to affect the all-around image. So the higher, the brighter, and it turns to white. That's really bright. And then the darker it goes all the way to black. All right. Sepia, that's pretty much for vintage images. It puts a orange filter over the image, so that way it gives a little more old school look to it. That's about as far as I'm going to go into that. Vignetting, it just puts a black border around your image. So if you want to focus more on something, then you can do so. They also have a vignette style at the bottom. So if you press RB, it changes the way the vignette looks. And you have 3 settings. You have the round, and you have 2 squares. All right, temperature. This is actually a pretty dope thing they put on here. Temperature is pretty much changing the temperature of, well, changing like the overall feel of the image. So the lower in the number, the more blue it's gonna put, and then the higher, the more orange. So usually, like, if you go more into the blue, you're making the image colder. All right, so you get a cold vibe out of the image. See? But if you go more towards the orange, then you get a warmer feel. And then for all these settings here, this is just for the car lights. This one's to take the driver out, but since my driver is actually driving the car, there's motion, then I can't take him out. And then this is for the crowd. It takes the crowd out. And then this one's for the animals. And that's it. All right, now I am going to show you the settings that I use for my images. All right, first is shutter speed. So this is settings that I use. For shutter speed, I usually stay around 32 for like any type of motion. But if I want the car to make the car look like it's going faster, I'll just double that number, which is 64, and I'll just use 64. So from there, I'll just use 32 and 64. If you want to, you can do whatever you want, but these are just what I do. 90% of the time I'm going to be in panning, because most of the time I'm going to be like, you know, far away from the car where like a vehicle can't go. You know, like a vehicle's not going to pan a car in like in a farm area or somewhere, going through all the freaking crops or something, you know. For focus, I just leave it at 0. Alright. Exposure, I put that at 48. Aperture, I don't go no higher than 27. Anything higher than that is just going to be just too much. So 27 and lower is like where you want to be. Usually if you're further away from the car, the higher the bokeh you want, and the closer you are, the less bokeh, so, or the less aperture. I usually keep mine on circle for the bokeh shape. Sampling, I'm always on quality. Contrast, 48. Color, I usually go from 50 to 49. Brightness, 48. 0 on the sepia. On the vignette, I don't go no higher than, I guess, like 30, 40. That way I put just a little bit more focus onto the vehicle, you know. And temperature, I keep it at 51 because I think 50 was too cold for me, so I put it at 51 because just going from 50 to 51 is a huge difference, as you can see. So yeah, and then depending on the mood, I'm keeping the lights on or I'm turning them off. I usually try to keep the driver out when the car is stationary. And I keep all the crowd and animals in because you know they're a part of the environment. All right, so next up is going to be my zoom. The main zooms that I use is going to be, I'll use the default, which is 1, and that gives some really nice, like, see, like, look at this right here. Now all I would have to do with that is bring the shutter up, make the car look like it's going a little faster, and then boom, you have a lot of that focus going onto the car just like that. All right, but my main zooms is going to be 3.1. That's one of them, and then the other one's going to be 5.1, I think. Yeah. And I'm trying a new one. It's going to be 9.8, but I'm still working on that one. But yeah, usually I'm at 3.1 or 5.1, and those right there are my sweet spots. And if I'm feeling good, I'll use 1. I'll use 1.7. You know, see, just like that. And then if I go to 1 with this wide angle like that, it gives more of the environment. And there we go. All right. Usually, if you're doing a wider angle, like a 1, anything under 3 on the zoom, I would have a really high shutter if you're in motion. But other than that, yeah. And this is pretty much going to be it for this video. I don't want to go too far in everything that I do. I'll probably make a series on how I get the shots that I get. So like for winter shots, I usually try to get the right car for the right environment, you know, something that fits the mood. So Fortune Valley, this was the car that I used. I thought that it would be a perfect fit for it, since it had a lot of the mountains and the wooded areas, and it actually turned out great. If you want to look at those pictures, you can just go on to the Forza creator hub, or whatever that thing is called, and look up my name. It's going to be SRMX Spoon with 2 zeros, and I got all the images on there. And that's about it. So if you're new to this channel and you like what you saw, go ahead and subscribe and smash that like button. If you have any comments about what you've seen, just go ahead and leave it down in the comments section below. And other than that, that's it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.